disguised herself, held her stomach in, changed her wardrobe, left before they could see, came home after they were in bed or at work. Different things to try to hide the fact that she had a belly that was starting to grow. As time proceeded, there was a situation, a wedding that they attended, in which the family noticed that she had a larger belly. Now, the mother will later contend that there were times where she believed that there were water weight issues or things like that that ran in the family. So it was easy for the family to kind of overlook this situation until eventually at that wedding, when there was no way to overlook the way she appeared in her dress. And so they confronted her and discovered that, sure enough, Casey Anthony was pregnant. Not just pregnant, but nearly full term. As this developed, the Anthonys went into overdrive. The father became the grandfather. The mother became the grandmother. The daughter became a soon-to-be mother. There were cribs, there were strollers, there were toys. The Anthonys went all out to provide for this new incoming baby. But you can begin to see the dynamics of the family and how it changes and the issues that come. For in all this time, no one brought up the fact, who's the father? It's an odd family structure. And you will see this oddity grow and grow as this case unfolds. But I'll get to that. Now, as we go through, the baby is born, and they name her Kaylee Anthony. And Kaylee suddenly is no longer the daughter of Casey Anthony. She is now the apple of her grandfather's eye. She is the heart of this family. She is the focus of everybody. And for young Casey, this is a blessing because she has an internal family unit that loves her and provides for her and cares for all of them and provides for Kaylee and helps with food and diapers and babysitting and all the things that Casey simply does not have the money or the means or even the knowledge to provide. As all of this proceeds, the family becomes absorbed with this young girl. And as every grandparent does, they dote on these children, and the children reciprocate. And what we will discover over time is there is a bond between all the family unit. As Casey recovers from childbirth and soon is out of time to where she can hide the fact that she no longer has a job. So what does Casey do? She goes to work. She returns to her job that she really does not have. And at first it's just a means to hide the fact that she doesn't have this job. But it's hard to hide a job that you don't have. You'll find that it's hard to do many things when you don't have a job. In fact, it's hard to keep gas in your car when you don't have any money. There are times that you will find as this case unfolds in which Casey ran out of gas in her car repeatedly and had to leave it sitting for days as she got money together or borrowed cans from her family or her friends to put gas back in her car so she could drive it. Many of these times were hidden from her family that she was spending the night with a friend and she made up friends, or she was going on a business trip and had to go. And as a general employee, the business trips did not make sense. But now you have a newborn, a first-time mom, teenage mom, a woman who grew up with all the attention of her father, now no longer having that attention, but having all the added responsibility of being a mother, which is very overwhelming for a teenager. And in this case, a mother trapped in a teenage world. So what happens? She uses her job as an escape. I can leave Kaylee with Grandma, and I can go meet some friends, or go to the mall, or do all the things that young girls dreamed of doing to feel like they have achieved something in their life or have done something. Maybe go to the park or go to the mall or do these different things that they would like to do. But now Casey has discovered you can't do these things when you have to push a stroller or stick to a feeding and changing schedule. All these different things weigh heavily on this option, and it's pretty overwhelming for a teenage mom to deal with. So, work becomes her escape. She gives herself a promotion. How convenient. Now she has to travel. This means the Anthonys step up and change their work schedules and take days off and do different things to where they can babysit so she can do the work that she needs to do and travel and do these different job-related activities. When in reality, she's just visiting friends or going partying or doing different things. As this case unfolds, you'll find more and more of these stories and these lies as they unfold. And you see the interaction between boyfriends and casual friends and acquaintances and girls. And you will learn all these lies and these stories that develop and some of the problems that come from this. But I'll get to those as well. What we're going to look at is beginning in all this time, Casey is searching for a replacement for the father to young Kaylee that she has lost. Remember, this is a teenage mind thinking that she needs the traditional family because now she discovered that her grandfather, the grandfather, is no longer her father, but now the grandfather to Kaylee. He spends his time wanting to hold her rather than doting on his daughter. His daughter has to get to work or has to change diapers or do this and do that. But Kaylee can do whatever. He can play with her and take her swimming and walking, and there are testimony that you will hear of him pushing Kaylee around the neighborhood and Kaylee pushing the baby around the neighborhood with the grandfather in tow, proudly boasting and showing off his new granddaughter. You will see, as this case unfolds, all the different stories and testimonies and people that will come forward to testify on how Casey Anthony was a great mother, how the child never needed for anything, or there were never any signs of neglect or mistreatment. You will see testimony from friends, from neighbors, from coworkers, from prior workers, from everyone, the neighbors involved, that in each and every case, no one can cite any problems with Casey and the way she loved and adored her daughter. But what we will find is as she continued to search for this missing love, that she finally discovered someone, Anthony Lazzaro. And you will find more as the prosecution laid out all these theories and timelines and this and that and that and this, that you will find that Tony Lazzaro was just a man looking for fun. Not necessarily a girlfriend, but sex, parties, a young man enjoying the fact that he's a young man with no responsibilities. He had an apartment that he shared with friends. He had girls that he would go to nightclubs with and have fun and play and all this stuff. And Casey Anthony became transfixed with this individual and believed as time progressed that he moved from being a nice guy to hang out with to a very special guy to the one. And you will see as time goes on, as this relationship changed in Casey's mind, it did not change in Tony Lazzaro's mind. And that, my friends, is one of the reasons that we are here today. But I will get further into those details in a moment. The other aspect to the Tony Lazzaro relationship was the fact that Casey did not live immediately by Tony Lazzaro, that there had to be a dynamic as Kaylee matured and now is 3 years old. Casey has lost the luster of her grandparents, or of her parents. And now she has responsibilities that she didn't have prior. They expect laundry, they expect these different things done. And so she finds herself being trapped in a grown-up world that she's unaccustomed to. Well, young Casey Anthony still needs to find the one to fill in that picture-perfect Beaver Cleaver world that she has ingrained in her mind, that she had lost and now she must regain. Because in her mind, if she can regain that little world, she can regain her current world and regain the love and the adoration and be back to being that young, innocent, only the youngest child in the Anthony household. So, Casey is transfixed with Tony Lazzaro, and Tony enjoys her company quite well. They have lots of sexual encounters, they have lots of parties and friends and things that they do. All the while, Casey takes care of Kaylee to a certain degree with babysitters, a certain degree with her parents, certain degrees with the baby following with her. Different situations, and you will hear testimony of these as the case progresses. But what you will learn is as their relationship with Tony begins to grow, Tony no longer is as open to an evening with Casey and Kaylee. And this creates a dilemma for a mother that loves her daughter but needs a husband. As you will learn, the prosecution is going to claim that Casey tried to eliminate her daughter to have a life of living and fun and everything else. But what you will discover in the testimony is nothing could be further from the truth. That Casey went to great lengths to balance the two. That she would babysit the baby and make sure that Kaylee was taken care of before she could go do that. Spend time with her men, or her man, or her friends, or any of these things. That Kaylee was always her top priority. What we will find as the case progresses is that as June of 2008 approached, the jeopardy of the Lazzaro relationship started to escalate. And as that began to happen, the stress of that situation began to eat at young Casey Anthony. You will see that in early June, Tony Lazzaro began texting back and forth with Casey. Weeks had passed since they had seen each other. Time had progressed and he was lonely and he wanted his girl to come. In fact, there are texts that you will see in which he commented to her that she needed to get over there to, quote, service him, or there was very little need for her to be the girlfriend. Casey read this and understood the gravity of the situation. But little did anyone else realize that this began a downward spiral that would end where we are today. For Casey did as any mother would do, desperate to see a very important person in her life. They made arrangements for a babysitter. And you will see in text messages back and forth between Tony Lazzaro and Casey Anthony prior to June 18th, or June 16th, that these babysitting requirements had been met and things were all scheduled for a date